Catholic and Orthodox Christians celebrate Easter every single spring, but the two denominations usually observe the holiday weeks apart, and after the year 2700, their dates will permanently separate. Every so often, the mathematics perfectly align. In rare years like 2017 and 2025, the two groups end up sharing the exact same Sunday. This massive divergence has nothing to do with religious doctrine, theology, or rival interpretations of Scripture. That looming 2700 deadline is simply a mechanical failure in how human beings measure the passage of time. In 325 AD, the First Council of Nicaea gathered to establish a single universal Christian calendar. They created a strict mathematical rule. As you can see in this equation, the first condition is that Easter must always fall on a Sunday. Next, that specific Sunday must occur immediately after the first full moon. Finally, that full moon has to take place on or after the vernal equinox, the official start of spring. Both the East and the West still fiercely defend this exact formula today. So, to end up with dates that are weeks apart, they have to be feeding entirely different data into the variables. The first variable in the equation is the vernal equinox, which requires a calendar to track. The Orthodox Church calculates this using the ancient Julian calendar, introduced by Julius Caesar. The problem is that the Julian year is off by about 11 minutes annually. To fix that tiny astronomical drift, the Catholic Church adopted Pope Gregory XIII's mathematically corrected Gregorian calendar in 1582. Looking at these timelines, you can see the split. The Gregorian correction locks the Catholic equinox at March 21st, while the uncorrected Julian calendar pushes the Orthodox equinox out to April 3rd. When a full moon appears exactly between those dates, the Orthodox equation misses it entirely, forcing them to wait for the next lunar cycle and delaying Easter by 4 weeks. That calendar drift explains the massive month-long gaps, but it fails to explain the discrepancy, where the two Easters fall exactly 1 week apart. There is a popular rumor that Orthodox Christians celebrate later because they are waiting for the Jewish Passover festival to conclude. That is completely false. The real culprit is the second variable, the moon. Neither church looks up at the physical sky to find the full moon. They use ancient, hard-coded spreadsheets. The Orthodox Church relies on the Metonic cycle, a 19-year astronomical cable developed in antiquity. Over the centuries, its built-in mathematical error has compounded. On this weekly calendar grid, the Metonic error means the calculated Orthodox moon arrives 4 to 5 days later than the Catholic moon. If the Catholic spreadsheet says the full moon lands on Friday, their equation instantly triggers Easter on the upcoming Sunday. But the Orthodox spreadsheet places that exact same moon on Tuesday. Missing the weekend forces them to skip Sunday entirely and wait for the next one. Invisible errors embedded in medieval astronomical spreadsheets shift the holiest day of the year forward by a predictable 7 days. Looking at this line graph, we can see the true scale of the problem. These calendar and lunar errors are not static. They compound, drifting a little further away from physical reality every single year. We are currently living in a window of time where the margins of error are still close enough to overlap. In the 21st century, the dates will coincide 31 times. But as we fast forward the timeline to the year 2698, we hit the final estimated intersection. Cross the 2700 threshold, and the data sets drift so far apart that a shared Easter week becomes mathematically impossible. The Nicene formula was a brilliant attempt to unite a global faith under a single calendar. But it proves that without agreement on the fundamental measurements of reality, even the same math will eventually drive two groups toward entirely separate futures.